It's a busy night at the auction. Horses are on the block and they're going cheap. $50 to $100, even former racehorses, like Rhino U, bought by Tawny Preisner, who runs a shelter for horses.
He was injured. He has a fractured knee. He was no longer useful to the industry, so he was dumped.
Half a length to Rhino U.
Just months before, the 2-year-old thoroughbred was racing at Golden Gate Fields.
It's quite typical for someone to spend $50,000, $100,000 on a horse, race it a few times, and if it's not performing, just make it disappear. If they're lucky, they make it to an actual person who wants to help them and retrain them, but most times they go straight on to slaughter.
Preisner's group Horse Plus has rescued over 2,500 horses in the past decade, many of them racehorses that she finds dumped at auctions. Because livestock auctions are where horse traders known as killer buyers go to snap up horses for pennies on the dollar.
It's highly likely that kill buyers are going to scoop up horses that show up at auctions.
Cheryl Jacobson with the Humane Society of the United States says it's known as the slaughter pipeline. From auction houses, the horses are then trucked to feedlots, and from there to slaughterhouses in Canada and Mexico.
By the time they are being offloaded from the trucks at the slaughterhouses, they're not in good condition. They have long transportation times without food, water, and rest.
She says even California horses protected by law from slaughter quietly disappear into the pipeline, simply by crossing first into neighboring states where exporting for slaughter is legal.
It's very easy to get around the system.
And we found no one monitoring the auctions either. The Department of Agriculture requires auctions like this one in Turlock to keep their records, but they're not required to release their transactions to the state, and the state told us they don't have the budget for inspections. On the night we visited the auction, we noticed one person who appeared to be an employee buying up most of the horses for sale. The auction's owner turned down our request for an interview, but confirmed the person is his employee and does buy a lot of horses. He told us it's their business what they do with them. So what about Rhino U? Like all thoroughbreds, he has a tattoo that auction houses are supposed to keep records of. So we wanted to know who brought him in. The auction owner refused to show us his records. For Tawny Preisner and her rescue group, it's all very frustrating.
It's just swept under the rug and no one cares. We are a civil country and we don't just butcher our pets, but we're doing it to our horses.
Tonight at 11 o'clock, what some racetracks are doing to save horses from slaughter. California horses are supposed to be protected by law, but we discovered many are headed to dinner tables overseas. It's even happening to thoroughbreds. And tonight, in a KPIX5 exclusive, the fight to save them from becoming food.
And they're off.
It's race day at Golden Gate Fields. Horses that win here can go on to make millions, and they're treated like royalty.
The horses, all as you can see, have access to food all day long, and their stalls are cleaned twice a day.
Liz Morey helps run the stables for her husband, Bill Morey, one of the most prominent trainers at the track. She says it costs about $70 a day to own a racehorse.
In order to kind of halfway pay their way for their training bills, usually you're looking at them winning at least every other month.
If they don't win, get injured, or become too old to race, they are often snapped up by horse traders.
If somebody is willing to take a horse sight unseen, they don't care if they're injured or not, those are all red flags.
So-called killer buyers get the horses cheap, ship them off to Canada or Mexico to be slaughtered for horse meat. An estimated 10% of the 9,700 horses shipped to slaughter last year were racehorses. A KPIX5 investigation found thoroughbreds fresh off the track, selling for as little as $50 at local auctions. To avoid that fate, Morey contacts rescue groups like Naysavers, a local rescue group that work directly with the track, bypassing auctions.
We stop them beforehand.
At Naysavers, thoroughbreds are retrained to be adopted as pets.
It's really about 80% changing their mindset. They have a tremendous heart and a tremendous work ethic.
This is Kira. She was a very successful racehorse for 11 years. She even raced when she was 9 years old while pregnant. But a year and a half ago, naysavers found her at auction. Rescue groups like Naysavers get support from the industry through purse deductions on race earnings. Racetracks have also instituted no-kill policies.
These animals need to be taken care of before racing, during racing, and after racing. Congratulations. That was great.
Golden Gate Field's general manager Joe Morris says at his track, owners and trainers must sign a contract promising that their horses will be retired safely. A policy critics say is hard to enforce.
They say, oh, well, my trainer found the horse a good home, but
Tawny Preisner's group Horse Plus rescues thoroughbreds from auctions. She says some trainers are unscrupulous.
the trainers know a lot of times who the killer buyers are. They've got a horse they need to move, and they'll call them up and say, hey, I need to get this horse out.
Morris disagrees.
I don't think it is easy to get around it. If we found any trainer misusing a horse or not taking care of them properly while they were racing or putting them into some sort of proper aftercare program, he wouldn't be welcome here. Absolutely would not be welcome here.
Golden Gate Fields is trying to figure out how one of its horses turned up at auction. Horses at auctions often end up in a slaughter pipeline where they are killed and their meat served on dinner tables in Europe and China. Golden Gate Fields has a policy that forbids this, but we discovered this horse fell through the cracks like many others in California. He's called New Macho Man, a 2-year-old thoroughbred with a Kentucky pedigree.
4 lengths off is New Macho Man outside Catch Cody. And
There he is racing at Golden Gate Fields in January. He came in 3rd, but got injured. 2 months later, he was on the block at this auction house in Turlock. A KPIX5 investigation found many racehorses end up here, selling for pennies on the dollar.
He's much skinnier than I thought he was.
Megan Gaines and her partner Ann Kent run a rescue group called Auction Horses Rescue and bought him for $280.
You can see it's more swollen here.
They say racehorses, especially injured ones, are not safe at auctions.
Most people want quarter horses, they want paints, they want cute ponies. Thoroughbreds are known for being too hot. So typically the kill buyer will buy them.
Kill buyers are horse traders that truck the horses to slaughterhouses in Mexico and Canada. Sending horses to slaughter is illegal in California, but our investigation found no one is enforcing the law. In this email to KPIX5, the State Department of Agriculture admits when the practice of slaughtering horses was discontinued, so were the funds for inspection. That means no one's checking who's bringing horses to auction or who is buying them.
It's kind of almost like the Wild West.
Since the state isn't doing anything about it, some racetracks are taking matters into their own hands. Here at Golden Gate Fields in Berkeley, trainers can actually lose their job if their horse ends up at auction. So how did New Macho Man slip through the cracks?
To be honest with you, when I found out this news, I didn't even know.
His trainer, O.J. Haragi, keeps 27 racehorses at the track. He told us he gave the injured horse to a friend who gave it to another friend.
We gave this animal to them. After that, it's hard for us to find out what's going to happen down the line.
It's a story Megan Young says she has heard all too often.
Maybe they handed him off to somebody they thought was good, but I'm very skeptical.
Hearing about it actually makes me angry.
Golden Gate Fields general manager Joe Morris isn't satisfied with the answers he's getting either. He's launched an investigation.
It's something we're adamant on, and as a part of racing here at Golden Gate, these horses are going to be taken care of in their second careers after racing, and we just need to tighten that down.
For now, though, he's grateful New Macho Man got rescued.
I was happy the horse didn't go through the auction and got taken out of it.
From his new digs in Southern California, New Macho Man seems grateful, too. Dr. Scott Stanley helps keep the horse racing industry clean. He runs a lab at UC Davis that analyzes horses' blood to detect doping.
What we do is just a drug testing similar to what you would do for a sports athlete.
Abuse of a horse tranquilizer called phenylbutazone is very common.
They're given medications that are totally inappropriate to be used in animals that are meant for food.
Phenylbutazone is banned for human consumption because it can cause a deadly blood disorder. He's also found antibiotics.
There are some people that have allergic reactions to certain antibiotics, so that's why we don't use antibiotics for food animals.
Yet racehorses routinely end up on dinner plates in Europe. Despite our own state laws against slaughter, even California horses are at risk. Our investigation found they're dumped at auction, where they can end up in the hands of kill buyers. From there, they're trucked to processing plants in Canada and Mexico. So where does the meat end up? Studies in 27 European countries found horse DNA in 5% of frozen entrees containing beef, like lasagna and meatballs. 0.5% found traces of phenylbutazone.
The food is tainted, the meat is tainted, it's dangerous.
Actress and animal rights advocate Bo Derek sits on the state's horse racing board and routinely rules on doping investigations.
It's a business that, because of betting, has huge financial incentives, so there will always be those, I'm sorry, but there will always be those Lance Armstrongs that try to take an edge.
HR 1094.
Derek convinced the board this month to support a proposed law banning domestic horse slaughter, as well as the export of U.S. horses for slaughter.
The majority of the American people don't like the idea of slaughtering our horses. Our horses are never bred to be eaten. They're never bred as livestock.
Welcome. It's the Roger Stein Show.
Yet even some within the horse racing industry support horse slaughter, like radio talk show host and trainer Roger Stein.
It's a necessary evil.
Stein breeds horses on his farm in Stockton.
I have a stallion who breeds, upwards of 25 mares per year.
3 racehorses from the farm recently showed up on the block at this auction house in Turlock. Stein claims he knew nothing about it, but admits
the truth is, what do you do with them if they can't race? There's a very real need for the disposal of horses that are no longer any chance of being an asset. They're liabilities.
Derek disagrees.
Our industry and our horse owners have been able to bear this burden of either caring for the horse for the rest of its life in one form or another, or giving it a peaceful, painless death through euthanasia. I mean, slaughter is not a humane alternative ever.
For Dr. Stanley, it's simple.
Because of the different medications that are routinely used, I wouldn't eat horse meat, not from the United States.
Now, the proposed ban on horse slaughter comes at a time when several meat processors in the U.S. are petitioning the USDA to slaughter horses again. The meat would only be used for export, but critics say it's just one more opportunity for our domestic food supply to become tainted.